And welcome back, everybody, to the amazing adventures of the Escapist. It is Greg and it is Matt from Japan tonight. And it's tonight here in Japan. It is early morning in the States. If you are watching this right now, hopefully at least one person's watching right now. It's kind of it's always weird when we do these live things, knowing that probably our core audience isn't even up yet.
Yeah.
So how you doing, man? How's fatherhood treating you?
Pretty good. My family and I are we're having a great time. My son, you might hear him in the background here pretty soon. He's been a little bit noisy today, but as my wife says, that's his job. He's very good at his job. So you might get the pleasure of hearing him cry here in the background here soon. But overall, I have to say it's going pretty great. I just love holding him, looking at his sweet little face. Earlier I was holding him and he was crying, and I was trying to play with him a little bit, and then he starts sucking my finger. And then that calmed him right down. He just wanted to suck on something.
Well, pretty soon he's going to be, those hands are, he's going to be reaching for the wallet at some point. So, it's but that's fatherhood for you, man. And this is your first kid too. So, enjoy, I don't have kids, so I can only, live vicariously through you. So,
I'll be sure to share it with you as much as possible. Yeah. That's probably why you have all your hair.
Well, it's genetics too, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. We kind of fall into that generation where, most of guys our age keep their hair, fortunately, but it's that generation before us that guys were bald at 30. So,
a couple of wars and a Great Depression will do that to you.
Yeah, definitely. So it's been 2 weeks since the last time we sat down and talked, and I know you and I have both gone through. We've been keeping each other up to date as to what we're reading. So, and you've been digging into the Marvel universe. So,
yeah.
What do you got? What have you read? Enlighten me.
I've been digging into Marvel. Not that I don't love DC. I'm still a hardcore DC fan. Well, maybe not hardcore, because hardcore fans can be kind of over the top. But I'm reading The Amazing Spider-Man. I'm still way back behind. I'm not even current yet on it. I read a couple issues where I can, and right now I'm in an interesting spot in The Amazing Spider-Man where essentially somehow a Celestial was awakened. I think Iron Man said that they woke up the Celestial somehow. They didn't really give much details in the comics as to how that happened. And now the Celestial is talking about this coming Judgment Day, where everyone will be judged based on their actions, past and present. And it's really interesting, because some people turn to rioting, but then other people tried to turn to good deeds. And there's a cute little scene where this one guy was trying to volunteer to walk this old lady across the street. And she says, "Oh, no, dear, I'm fine." And he says, "Please, I need this. I have 2 kids who don't know my name."
And so how many issues are you in?
Oh gosh, let's see. I couldn't tell you. Let's see. I'll try to look it up. Come on, my library. Dagnabbit. I'm on issue number 10.
Okay.
I'm halfway through issue number 10. I had to stop reading the issue. I think something came up. I was probably reading it on my lunch break at work.
And so with it's been a while since I've been I've looked at the online offerings with Marvel. Does does the Marvel Online have pretty much every? I mean, where do they? Well, how far back do they go? Let's go with that.
I'm not sure where the cutoff is, but I think they do offer some Silver Age stuff.
Okay, so they don't have. I mean, in terms of the Silver Age, well, you're still obvious. You're kind of working your way through it. But have you found, in just exploring, have you found everything that you've been looking for? Um, digging back into back into the bargain bin.
So far, yes. I think they even have some old Doctor Strange, which I'm going to be digging into because Doctor Strange is one of my favorite superheroes. I just love the lore around him. I like that even before the generation of the multiverse and all that came across, he was master of the mystic arts and he was delving into other dimensions. And I think it's interesting to see somebody who's so steeped in that mystical tradition. I took a slight break from Spider-Man a couple weeks ago, and I read a little bit of Doctor Strange. The art was okay. It wasn't very captivating, but the story was pretty interesting. How there's basically this kind of sleeping sickness, and the sleeping sickness is caused by these entities, and Doctor Strange had to go into, I don't know what plane he went into, but he found this not celestial, sorry. He found this guardian of the child's soul that he had to fight, but it's very heady.
Yeah.
It's very heady in the sense that it deals with this I don't know the correct word for it, but it deals with these different hierarchy of spirits, so I'm bound to use the wrong one. But that was interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds complicated. Is
Yeah.
it one of those where you literally have to pay attention as you're reading the panels? Because there are some comics you don't have to pay as close attention on all the panels, but when it comes to storylines like that, at least I found that many times I'm going back, I'm going, what did I just miss? Like,
Yeah,
that's what they were talking about.
you have to pay kind of close attention because you're not sure what will be brought up later.
Right.
It's not terribly complex, but it's just complicated enough to where you're thinking, oh, I need to pay attention.
Yeah.
But back to Spider-Man, something interesting is going on with the Celestial. I know that's the correct term here. But if I used any wrong terms, please get in the comments, let us know, and enlighten us. Because I'm not so much of a comic book nerd that I would say, well, actually, no, please correct us.
Oh yeah, there are people out there that jump all over your shit. Like, oh, on this, like, yeah, dude, you are, or better yet, oh, you're wrong. You're wrong. Like, okay, I'm wrong. Okay, well, it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, because I don't have a perfect memory of this stuff, but this Celestial has caused visions to start following people. So, for example, visions of people from other people's past. So, Spider-Man, or I guess Peter Parker, in this case, because he stays as Peter during a lot of this, is followed by Gwen Stacy, and it's just clearly this illusion of Gwen Stacy, and it looks like she has this spiritual energy kind of coming off of her, but she follows him constantly. She stays ever awake and just doesn't do anything. It's just like this little avatar of Gwen Stacy that follows him. It's almost like that's part of the Celestial's judgment.
Yeah.
And only Peter can see it. And Peter's going around doing good deeds. Partly, you get the sense partly because that's what he does, and because he's Spider-Man, but also partly because of the coming judgment of that Celestial. And one thing that you get to see that's kind of touching because, everybody to a certain degree is either worried or not worried about the judgment of the Celestial. Whenever he talks to Aunt May, she said, "Oh, it's really no problem, dear." And then in the panel, whenever he's leaving, it shows her, and Aunt May has her own avatar that has been following her from the Celestial, and it's Uncle Ben. So Uncle Ben's actually been with Aunt May, so it's actually a comforting presence to her. So instead of like Peter's apparition avatar of Gwen Stacy that's been following him and bothering him, Aunt May you get a nice juxtaposition of it being comforting.
Okay.
Because it's like Aunt May is really sound in her mind and she's confident in her relationship with Ben. And so it's comforting to her to have the avatar there.
Gotcha. Anything else you're reading on Marvel? Or are you just going with that series right now, or you're focusing on that one?
I'm focusing on that because if I'm one of those guys where if I have to, if I get too many things I'm going to read, I'll start slowly reading all of them, and then it'll start to become none of them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Where it's just like, I got 5 issues and Venom. I have 3 issues and a Ghost Rider. I was about to say Horse Rider. Yeah, I got 7 issues in this, and then I'll never pick it up.
Okay.
How about you? What are you reading?
Okay, so last time, I'm trying to think. Okay, so let me kind of back up here. So I think I said the last show, or maybe the show before. No, it was last show. I went through a lot of the Dynamite stuff. Went through. Right. I read Masks. Mask was great, 1 and 2. Read the Spider, and again, anybody who's not read any of the Dynamite stuff, and you can, if you have a Comixology subscription on Amazon, you can read all these. You can read the Dynamite selections for free, basically. So yeah, I read the Spider, read Masks, the pulp noir. I love that type of stuff. Love those type of comics very much. I mean, these are guys that inspired the characters that probably inspired Bob Kane and Bill Finger when they created Batman. So the one set of comics I went through in the last 2 weeks, the Injustice 2 series. Okay. Injustice. So there was Injustice and Injustice 2. Now both of these comic books tie into the video game.
Right.
And I'm still hanging on to my PS4, and my PS3, and contemplating getting.
If it still works, then why? Give it up?
Listen, I'm at that age where these things are practically brand new, except for the dust. My machines, so they don't get used much. But I was able. So last year I read Injustice. Finally read Injustice all the way through, and then played the video game, because I played the video game before, but I didn't have the whole story, and I just lost you. Hopefully you can hear me with your camera.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I read Injustice 2, and it's a continuation. It picks up where the video game leaves off. And if you haven't read Injustice or Injustice 2, you're going to kind of be lost with the video game. So, so I did that. Now I'm right now I'm in the start of, I started playing Injustice 2 on PlayStation, but then got distracted. So the Injustice series is a really good series, especially when you tie it in with the video game. And then after, I read in terms of my comic book selection, caught up on my current subscription of Shazam. Oh, there you are. You were there just a second ago. So there you go. Do you have a camera with your with your laptop?
I do. I might have to restart and try to use that one instead of this
Yeah,
external one.
yeah. Well, give it a shot, man. We can wait. I can tap dance for just a few minutes.
All right, I'll hit refresh and see what's going on here.
All right, bud.
Sorry to our viewers.
All right. Well, it won't take too long. All right, and for everybody who is watching right now, you can find us at navycomics.com and at Navy Comics on pretty much all the socials except for Twitch. We are at Navy Comics TV. Um, long ago, somebody decided, hey, grab Navy Comics over at Twitch, and I don't know what happened to them, but now you know how it goes. That name is no longer available. So hopefully we'll get Matt here soon. So again, talking about where I'm, the current comic book selection. Yeah, no, I was just finished up, caught up on my Shazam collection, and it's the current version of Shazam. And when DC reintroduced Shazam back with the new 52, it disappointed a lot of people, including myself, who I'm very, very old school when it comes to, and I'm looking down here at my Captain Marvel collection of old comics. But back when I was a little kid, DC bought the rights to Captain Marvel and came out, obviously for copyright reasons, could not put the words Captain Marvel on the cover. So it became a Shazam comic book. But I was there kind of at the beginning, as a little kid back in the 70s when, oh, there he is. There you are.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see me in reduced quality.
No, you look good, man. You look good. So I was just explaining to everybody kind of where I'm at with reading right now the current Shazam series. And so where I left off was just kind of explaining kind of how, and I'm going to say Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, started, how he got picked up by DC, how he got picked up by DC back in the early 70s. And because of copyright reasons, they can no longer use the words Captain Marvel on the cover of any of their comic books, DC that is. So now it's Shazam. And just how disappointed I was, and most people, most traditional followers of the character, when DC decided to rename him Shazam instead of Captain Marvel. And so that's, so I'm getting caught up on the current series, and the current series kind of picks up from the other series before that. And I'm kind of going back in time with all these series. But here's my issue. So right now, DC is calling Captain Marvel. They're not calling him Shazam anymore. They're calling him the Captain. They don't say Captain Marvel. They're just referring to him as the Captain. Okay.
The Captain. That's a little strange.
Yeah, the Captain. But Mary Marvel is Mary Marvel. Okay. So you got the new so you got the new, we'll call them, they call themselves the Shazam's family. I'm calling themselves the Marvel family. So when they reintroduced Captain Marvel and rebranded it, called him Shazam, you had Freddie Freeman and Mary Bromfeld, who originally, when the comic was written, decades ago, Mary was his real sister, and Freddie Freeman was a friend who Billy Batson helped out, or Captain Marvel helped out, and Freddie Freeman became Captain Marvel Jr. just by saying the words Captain Marvel. That's where it stood for up until, I don't know, I forget how many years ago they relaunched with the new 52 and relaunched the series. So anyway, so they revamp everything. So now you got Billy Batson, you got Mary, who's older than him now and not related at all. I mean, they're all foster kids living in a house. Okay. But then you've got 3 other kids that have come into the mix. Yeah, you got 3 other kids that have come in the mix, which is, I mean, I see where DC was going with all this. And if you've seen the Shazam movie, I don't know if you've seen it, but
Oh yeah, I have. I love it. We saw the second
that's
one in
right. We saw
theaters.
the second one together. That's right. So you know where I'm saying, you got all these kids are in the mix, and everybody's got a cool uniform, got their own color uniform with the lightning bolt. To me, it just, I mean, it's good. But here's the problem. Okay, none of these kids have superhero names. Okay, you got Mary Marvel, who now is calling herself, Mary Bromfield. In the comic, is calling herself Mary Marvel. Fine. You got Billy Batson is calling himself the Captain. Not calling himself Captain Marvel, even within the pages. But now you got Freddie Freeman in in the last 2 issues of the comic, and without me even going into the plot as to how it happens, calling himself now the Commander. Which, okay, I see where you're going with this. But it's even within the comic, even Billy Batson goes, the Commander. So I don't know what they're doing with these characters. I mean, they're all Superman level, Supergirl power level type characters, but they've done absolutely nothing with these characters. Not only with Captain Marvel or Mary Marvel or Captain Marvel Jr., but the other 3 kids. I don't know. I'm disappointed with how DC over the years. Now remember, I'm 58, so I remember I got here somewhere. I've got original issues of the first issue of Shazam from February, I think it was 74 or 73. In fact, one of them signed up here by Jackson Bostwick, TV's original Captain Marvel. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm reading these. And so again, I'm going with the most current comic, and I'm working my way backwards just to see maybe if that will help me personally, like get over some of the distaste in my mouth with, maybe, just trying to make, maybe DC's got, no, but I'm locked into, I've always been a Captain Marvel fan. So, I'm locked into reading the comic book, but I'm just disappointed with how not only how they're dealing with, Freddie Freeman is calling himself the Commander. Now, granted, he was under a magical spell, an evil spell. I get that part, but I don't know. I mean, none of these kids have code names, or as we would say in the Navy, nobody's got a handle. Nobody's got it. Nobody's got a code name. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I think it's just I don't know. I'm truly at a loss for words, because it's bothersome for me as a kind of I wouldn't say a comic purist, but I was there before the Crisis on Infinite Earths. So everybody had their own little set universe, and everything to me at least made sense.
Yeah.
So the multiverse made sense back before they tried to blow it all up.
Yeah, I can't say I know much about the lore of it in terms of that, but it seems like now, even just speaking, not just from DC experience, but also from Marvel experience, that a lot of this multiversal stuff is basically like them trying to say, we have creative license to do whatever we want with your beloved IP.
Yeah, no, that's true. I agree 100% with that. I mean, Marvel pretty much stole the multiverse universe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at least, and again, I'm more DC than Marvel, but I always thought Marvel stole the multiverse concept from DC.
See, I don't know how much I can say about that, because like, you can look at somebody like a character like Doctor Strange, who's a very early hero. You look at him in the Silver Age, and I remember reading the first appearance of Doctor Strange. It stings me every time that I think, oh, I used to own that.
That's how I feel with all my Shazam comic books.
Yeah. He was digging into other dimensions. So, like, So I don't know when DC started it, but I
Back in the
know.
'60s, when the Flash got on the cosmic treadmill and crossed over to Earth 2 and met the original Flash, Jay Garrick. That's how that all came together for DC.
Yeah. Now I don't know when the multiverse starts for Marvel, but I know there are multiversal concepts as early as Doctor Strange. I can't remember what year Doctor Strange was published, but I think it was late 60s, early 70s. And you could probably look that up really quick.
No, I'm looking something. I'm still looking something else up because if I did, I might dig too deep, and all of a sudden I get distracted on my end, and
Right.
I'll be like, "Oh, what? Oh,
So
what?"
if any of you in the comments know
Yeah,
when
set us
Doctor Strange
straight.
got started or when the multiverse got started for each universe, DC and Marvel, let us know.
Yeah, definitely let us know because I'm like I'm off the top of my head. But going back to my point, to me, DC has screwed everything up since Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they got rid of their multiverse because the multiverse before then had an order. All these comic book characters that they had purchased from, defunct publishers, Charlton, Fawcett, so on and so forth, all existed within their own separate universe. And then they decided they had the Golden Age heroes in one universe, the Silver Age ones, and then it was the Bronze Age ones after that. I just to me, to me, everything made sense with the multiverse, and then they blew it up, and then they wanted to recreate it. And I don't know. To me, I just think it's a big mess. You know, kind of like with what happened with the Flash movie. They made they made a bigger mess out of the mess that they had with
Right.
all their different Batman and different. I don't know. It's frustrating for me looking at where the Captain Marvel character and all the Lieutenant Marvels are at right now compared to what they were even back in the '90s with the Power of Shazam, which was a great comic book. You nice. It's one of the few comic book series I actually physically brought with me to Japan when I moved. So anyway, I'm off, but that's what I've been reading. Injustice 2, um, and then I'm working on the Injustice 2 video game on PlayStation and working on the Shazam series actually no, I finished up the Shazam series. I'm working on the current Shazam series, but I'm also working on there was a mini series called, and I got it down here, Shazam: The New Beginning. This is issue number, whoops, does that pop up there? No, it doesn't pop up.
Hold it
Anyway,
close to your chest.
and then do I hold it close to the chest right there? Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. So anyway, this was from 1987, back when I was in college. That's how far this goes back. But anyway, it's the retelling of the origin story of Billy Batson becoming Captain Marvel. It's really good. It's a 4-issue series. It's available on DC Online. And I've also got a reprint of Wiz Comics, from way back
Nice.
when. Yeah, so that was, yeah, again, it's a reprint. I got it at a comic book store, but it's kind of cool to have that. So, so I've got,
reprints are underrated in terms of collecting. Like
yeah, but
everybody
even
says, "Oh, I want the original. I want the original," but reprints are so nice.
the digital reprints are just as good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot out there. You just got to look, So, but if you're looking, hey, feel free to go to our website, and there are links there to other comic book sites that especially they've got stuff in the public domain. Comic Books Plus is a really good one, where you can see talking about Captain Marvel, like the image behind me is from the Don Winslow comic book, a comic book that's in the public domain. So these
Really?
images nobody owns the rights to now, because that's the original Captain Marvel that Fawcett created, but they let that copyright lapse. And again, going in, without diving deep into copyright stuff, You know, the original Captain Marvel, his image and likeness, they're all in the public domain. So he's part of him is a public domain character, but say like the current Shazam or the DC Shazam or DC's Captain Marvel, that's not a public domain character.
Yeah.
So it gets really murky and I'm not Mercury, but murky. It gets kind of confusing as to what's public domain or not public domain. But no, Don Winslow, the Don Winslow comic book upon which that image appeared is in the public domain.
Yeah, that is pretty murky. It's just like, oh wait, he's in the public domain, but he's not. Well, this version of him is, but this newer version isn't. And how do you differentiate?
Yeah, it's very confusing. So anyway, so moving on from comics. So the other thing is, in my retirement, I got a lot of spare time, a lot of time to catch up on old TV shows that I've missed. So I've been keeping you updated as to where I'm at with
Daredevil,
with Marvel's Daredevil, the original Netflix series, which I started. I think I watched season 1 when it first came out, and then life in general and work got in the way.
Right.
So I never picked up on it. So
how are you liking it?
Okay,
it seems pretty captivating.
Dude, it's awesome. It's probably the best superhero TV show I've ever seen.
Right. Well,
okay. So here's follow me along here. So it's on Disney Plus now. Or it's on Disney Plus. Because it was originally a Netflix series, but once Disney bought Marvel, they shifted everything over. So it's only 3 seasons, 39 episodes. And it was canceled after that whole purchase by Disney because it's Daredevil's part of a whole series of shows. You had Luke Cage. Yeah, I'm working on Jessica Jones, which I'm working on now. The Punisher, and the Defenders. Oh, and there's a couple other shows in there. Moon Knight and oh god, who's the other one? I can't think of it off the top of my head. But anyway, kind of all part of that grouping of these shows that kind of crossed over. They all existed within the same universe. But Daredevil, 39 episodes from start to finish. I got nothing bad to say about it. It's all good things. Like, oh, this is the way to. It's gritty. The first season's very brutal because there's a lot of blood and a lot of fists and there's a lot of gunplay too. I mean, it's truly, but it's cool because it's set in the same universe as Marvel's Avengers and that. So there's only a couple passing references to the attack on New York or even the Avengers themselves. So it really it's a very gritty. I would say, it's like the superhero version of The Wire. And if anybody knows that show, you know what I'm saying. It's because it's about as real as it gets. And, each episode truly does leave you hanging in a good way. It's like, oh, I can't wait to get to the next episode. So I binged it for a week.
So you said you binged it for a week and each episode leaves you hanging. Do you feel like the series wrapped up well whenever it was canceled?
Yes, it did. The ending, I won't give the ending away, obviously.
Of course not, because we do not spoil here on The Escapists.
No. But it ended well. No. It ended, and it set things up for what's coming. I know what's coming in March. Because I looked at who's coming back. Pretty much all the same characters are coming back. But here's the thing with Daredevil. What makes Daredevil isn't Daredevil. It's the Kingpin.
Right.
And if you know the actor, and it's Vincent, I can't pronounce his last name, but I'm just, it's kind of late here in Japan, so I'm kind of like a couple brain cells short. Yeah. But anyway, the actor that plays the Kingpin, he's like the greatest supervillain ever I've seen on screen. He takes, what? Everybody talks about Heath Ledger's Joker as being the greatest villain. No, the Kingpin to me is the greatest comic book villain on the big screen because I'm using net. I mean, we all watch Netflix now. That's how we watch our movies now.
And that's
You
saying a
know?
lot because you're a DC fanboy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, by all rights, you should be siding with the Joker. So
I
that
should
means
be.
he has to be really outstanding.
Yeah. Let me get the actor's name that plays him, because he is just Vincent D'Onofrio. Okay, so he's I mean he's a very well known actor. I mean I saw him. Actually, speaking of the Joker, uh, he he was in Full Metal Jacket, and anybody knows that
Oh.
movie knows that there's a Joker in that movie. Not him, but somebody else. But it's a Vietnam War movie. But anyway, he's in that movie. That's where he came to fame, in that movie. But his Kingpin is just, I mean, when he's on screen, I'm like, ooh, it's good. It's good. And you see the evolution of his character in 39 episodes. I mean, I won't give it. I mean, that much I can give away. He's in the whole thing. Also, too, you get the Punisher in there, and you see how the Punisher came to be. So they pack a lot in 39 episodes.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I would like to see the coming of the Punisher inside the series, see what that does.
Yeah,
because I know you won't tell me how they interact whenever they see each other, but it's like interesting to see.
the only thing I can tell you, at some point, it's the enemy, and my enemy is my friend. It's kind of one of the. It's kind of one of those without, but then there's another bad guy that's introduced in the third season that it's interesting. It's entertaining to watch the evolution of that character.
Right.
And you had the other side characters too. You got Karen Page, you got Foggy, the law partners for Charlie, for Matt Murdock. I mean, they're integral to this. I mean, it's an ensemble cast too. It's just not focused on one on the superhero. In fact, I would say it's about as ensemble as you can get for a superhero show.
Well,
so anyway, that's my recommendation. So I'm working on Jessica Jones now, and that's a character I don't know anything about. So that's as I'm learning as I'm going along. Also, too, Luke Cage is in the series. So I may not be able to binge.
It really sounds like it's a star-studded cast, not necessarily with the actors, though there's probably argument there for that, but star-studded in terms of Marvel superheroes.
Well, the writing is good. It's all about the writing, but it's also too about the cinematography and the setting, and New York. New York is another character in this show too. And I've never been to New York, but I mean, I lived and worked in Chicago for 20 plus years. So, to me, it could have easily been set in Chicago. I mean, it reminded me of the street of working on the south side of Chicago. When I was a parole officer. So it's just that kind of, it's just that gritty feel. It's a fun 39 episodes, and plus more that are coming up, because like I said, all the other characters, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the Punisher, they have their own series. All these characters overlap. And so,
right.
But I'm like 3 episodes into Jessica Jones, and the only character that is overlapped right now has been Luke Cage. So, but so that's
that sounds pretty interesting. So I wanted to take a moment to ask our viewers, let us know what you're watching in the comics. Let us know what series you're watching, what you're following, any comic books or comic book adjacent things that you're watching. And also, please let us know what comics you're reading, if you are reading them, why you are or aren't reading them. Just get down there and really get involved with us, because Greg and I have this conversation every week, and we could easily do this on air or off air. But the reason why we do all of this is to communicate with you. So if you could just help us out by just getting in the comments and letting us know what you're reading, and try to get involved with us so we can make this more of a community effort and really make this a community.
Yeah. And obviously with our live stream, it's kind of hard because we're on the other side of the world right now. So most people,
Right.
hey, when you see this, whether it be on YouTube or Rumble right now, we'll see where we go in expanding out, our distribution. But obviously YouTube's the big one. And but yeah, no, just put in the comments section. And also please, as always, hit that smash button and like and subscribe, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do that because we're just a little channel. We just like talking comics. And the thing is too, people don't probably understand kind of our lives over here. So we're both living and working in Japan. You working more than me, obviously, because I'm here in my retirement. But we're kind of we're the gaijin community. So
Yeah.
we are the gaijin American comic book community, which there's the way Japan is this is it's one of these places. And step in if you think I'm wrong on any of this as I'm explaining it. It's a nation, it's a collective nation, but there's so many individual subcultures out here that
Right.
you don't realize it. So for you, you've got your chess community. I've got my American football stuff going on over Gridiron Japan over another YouTube channel. So there's all this, but we're just like the small we truly, the gaijin American comic book community. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot. I'm sure there's more than two. There's more than three of us because
Yeah.
you and I. There's a third person here that you and I both know well, who's a huge comic book fan. So.
Yeah, and so that's the thing about Japan is it's so hard to connect these communities with people. So, for example, like Greg and I have this. Well, I won't say it's a niche interest because everybody knows about comic books, but it's a borderline niche interest.
Yeah.
So we have this interest, and even if Greg and I were to go to Facebook meetup or in person somewhere, it's hard to find these other people that are interested in what we're interested in.
Yeah.
And one way we could get that out there is by getting you there in the comments, and in the live streams to sort of connect with us. Because if we become a presence, we can become a presence that connects other comic book lovers and like-minded nerds and like-hearted nerds.
Yeah. We've got a Reddit page, so we got that going for us. Which I'm gonna be honest with you, we'll keep the Reddit page. But on one of my other podcasts, my football podcast, I don't know what happened because you and I have not had this conversation yet. But somehow that account got banned, and I don't know what happened. I don't know why. You violated the terms. I'm like, okay, well, it's a and I explained to him. I go, it's a show account. Who knows? Our account now will probably get banned because of this over at Reddit because of some Redditors so I have no use for Reddit. We have the Reddit,
Right.
and hopefully we can use it and hopefully it'll work. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't know. There's so much in social media out there. It's become so fragmented, even like with Twitter now. Everybody's fleeing Twitter. So, between Facebook
People are going over to Blue Sky.
Yeah, we're on Blue Sky too. I haven't, I set up. We have an account over there, which, like other things that I haven't quite, I got the account set up, but just haven't done anything with it because we're still trying to. We're still trying to build a following, and fortunately, like you said, people are things are with YouTube, with Rumble. Rumble actually surprised me because people are watching us over there too. So. But I know, but the problem is obviously everything has become so politically divided nowadays, which you and I being over on this side of the world, we're kind of, we're insulated from in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no. Hey, like and subscribe, and check out the podcast too, because but you can find out all the links for everything we got going on over at navycomics.com, and it's just our little blogspot webpage where we're got our thoughts. And like I said, you and I have talked about this before. I'm still trying to build that public domain Justice League type of idea that I've got going on with
And
Navy themed characters.
And, since I'm working at my art again, I could always help us create more characters.
Yeah.
I wouldn't make my characters public domain, but I would make them for our use.
But we have the public domain toy box to reach into if we need anything.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the nice thing, because I always say that's something I saw was on one of these these specials on Amazon that explained, it was the Avengers documentary. It was one of the Avengers documentaries I saw, but they talked about going into the toy box of characters and how they reached into the bottom and they took Iron Man.
Right.
And again, they used the term toy box, and how that launched a franchise with just a minor character. So who wasn't Spider-Man or anything like that, was, it became, so from small things, come
right
from small ideas and it's come big things. So who knows? But yeah, that's our plan. That's what we like doing in our spare time. So, but
yeah, it's building this universe has been interesting, especially whenever you and I are working on the art and sending each other messages back and forth of like, oh, well, a character like this or a character like that.
Right.
And we're just very slowly building up on this universe, character by character.
Yeah. So that's this year's plan. Obviously our work on it, my ideas. I mean, I was doing on it when I was back in the States. I was working on it a little bit and sending you stuff, and I got to apologize. And last week I've been focused on watching Daredevil, so I really haven't done much with anything. So, and hopefully with next episode, now let's talk about the next episode. Talking about things, or I should say in the upcoming episodes of The Escapist in terms of ideas and what's coming up. A friend of mine who teaches at a university here locally where I'm from has written a great book called Supervillains. Now, I'm about halfway through with the book, and it's a really good book. But it's Supervillains, the significance of evil and superhero comics. And it is written by Dr. Now Tomobechi. And I've got to look at it. I mean, her and I we chat a lot online, but I've got to, it's a Japanese last name. So I've got to look at it. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, much like Matt or Greg does. But anyway, she wrote a book, and this is actually her PhD thesis that has been published as a book. So it is, like I said, I'm about, I wouldn't say I'm halfway through. I'm about a quarter of the way through. And so, but anyway, we're planning on having her come onto the show here, hopefully sooner rather than later. Another good friend of mine is hopefully going to be coming on. He's committed to, I know I heard him mention it on his podcast. He's committed to coming on to talk to us, talking about all things Batman, because he is truly a Batman expert. But his name is Adam Snow, and he's on YouTube at the Adam Snow Show. He does movie reviews, but he's also a football podcaster with the World of Football and Just Lying Around. He's a big Detroit Lions fan, so his dad and I are really good friends, and Adam's a great guy. So, but anyway, he's a comic book nerd, and so those are at least two guests, hopefully in the near future, we're going to have on. So, and Matt, before we wrap everything up, got anything yet say on your end?
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure to be back at it after we weren't able to do it for a couple of weeks because you and the missus were under the weather.
Yeah.
And you had to take care of that. It's no joke. So I'm just happy to be back at it. And And hopefully we'll have some fresh fruit for our viewers here next week. And sorry
Yeah.
about the camera issue.
Or
We'll
actually, no, I was thinking we're going to do every 2 weeks for a little bit now, just because I know you're going to be home with the kid, and I got stuff going on here too. So I was thinking either if we don't do a weekly show, we do every other week show.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, no, we're still figuring it out as we go. So, but any any last words before we wrap everything up?
No, that's it. Just happy to be here with everyone, and happy for our loyal viewers on YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble. Yeah, grateful to have you guys here. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks everybody. And this is Greg and Matt signing off. And hey, like I said, go to our website.
Oh, and Facebook.
And Facebook. Yeah, there's a link to our face. And here's the thing with the Facebook page: if we got like 40, in order to live stream on Facebook, you need 100 followers. We're at 47 right now. So if you're watching, pardon me,
go over to Facebook and give us a follow.
Yeah, just like and follow, and once we get to 100, actually probably 101, then we can live stream on there, in addition to live streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. So,
yeah,
all right, my friend. Well, listen, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in, and this is Matt and Greg signing off for tonight from Japan, and we'll be talking to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.